And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I left the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have the Clay Street Unit here today with us. If you paid attention to last week, you saw that we announced this episode last week by mistake. It's supposed to come out this week because they have a new album coming out on Friday. So go pre-save that Clay Street Unit new album Friday. It's fantastic. There's a few songs out there now that you can go and check out. And I would. Don't mind the background. Fucking, we Mickey Mouse it here. It's fine. But yeah, go check that out. This conversation is one of those conversations where, and I say it all the time on this show, where you never know what you're going to get, right? And this is one of those conversations where I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And we started chatting and we could have continued for hours, right? Unfortunately, they were on a time restraint, which is fine. Like, shit happens. They're busy. I'm busy. It is what it is, right? But we had a great time. And you're going to see a lot of that here in this episode. So sit back, relax, enjoy. What did we do this past weekend? We saw Treaty Oak Revival Thursday night at the DCU Center. They kicked off their West Texas Degenerate tour here. Tours don't ever kick off here, and for Treaty Oak to kick off here, a big thank you to all of our friends at the DCU Center and Treaty Oak's team for having us. Like, I can't even tell you what the night meant to us. The review should be out, unless my ass was lazy this weekend. And then Turnpike Troubadours Saturday night at MGM Music Hall. Again, another review should be out. As long as I wasn't lazy. The Super Bowl was last night. I'm not going to lie to you. Full disclosure, I am recording this days before any of this. We haven't even seen Treaty Oak as I'm recording this. We haven't seen Turnpike as I'm recording this. And we haven't seen the Super Bowl as I'm recording this. So all of those things have happened. But I can't give you any fucking information because I can't see the future. But everything should be out. And hopefully it was a Patriots victory. If not, congratulations, Seattle, and fuck you too. But anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy. Clay Street Unit is here, and we will see you on the flip side, guys. Cheers. All right. Well, here we are. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, like I was just telling you, we're going to just kind of shoot the shit, man. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what the band is, what you're doing, and we'll get into some nitty gritty non-music things as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I am. My name's Sam Walker. Play guitar, and I'm the lead singer for a band called Clay Street Unit. We're based out of Denver, Colorado. 6-piece, whole lot of us. Got a pedal steel guitar, Brad Larison. Scotty Bowen on the mandolin, Jack Guitarba plays bass guitar, Brennan Lamb on the drums, and our buddy Dan Andre on the fiddle. And that's Clay Street Unit for you.
So let me ask you this, right? Because I've been seeing this a lot, right? I see this in bands around here that are doing well, other bands that are doing well. Like, why so many fucking people?
Yeah, I think for us it was just this thing where it's really my fault probably, where I just kept hearing these little, sonic pockets where these instruments would fit and work so well. And I don't think Tyler Childers or Sturgill did us any favors having those big bands where you hear pedal steel kind of juxtaposed with mandolin and banjo and all these kind of classic country sounds mixed with classic bluegrass. And I don't know. I think it just creates more space for what possibly can happen.
Yeah. Now, so when you start this whole thing, right? Um, do you go in it with that intent of I want as many people in this band as possible, or does it just kind of these people and it just kind of clicks together?
Yeah. So the way it happened for us was I was hanging out at a local bar here in Denver around the corner from my house. Met our future banjo player, went and picked tunes all night, hung out, and we decided to start a little duo project. Next thing you know, a buddy of ours who I jammed with a few times, just hanging out, messing around, wanted to play bass. Then we had a drummer, and all those guys since have moved on and have families and have moved, but you kind of got the project started and the momentum going. Was just kind of dudes who were around and wanted to play, and then as we started to take it more seriously, I was really kind of always having my ear open, going to all sorts of local shows, seeing all sorts of local bands, just trying to see what might work for the songs I wrote and the sound that we're trying to trying to get across. And there's a lot of musicians in Denver and a lot of different people doing a lot of different things, and everyone who joined the band just kind of met at the right time, all different times, organically, and just felt like a piece that had to be part of the puzzle, or the puzzle wasn't going to be complete. So I wasn't looking for pedal steel guitar. I wasn't looking for banjo. I wasn't looking for mandolin, anything like that. I was just looking for the right people who played the right instruments that sounded good together the way we wanted to do it.
Right. Now, with that, when you're writing these songs or writing songs in general, right, before you have these pieces, are you writing for those pieces in case they come up, or are you just writing whatever the hell you want?
Yeah, great question. I write songs. I'm not writing for a band or an arrangement or any specific instrumentation. If it can hold up with a guitar or a piano, and that's it, that's the way I write. My favorite part is bringing, a little tiny little nugget of a song to the band, or like what I think it is, and the 3-4 chords into the bridge, into the change, into whatever, and just hearing like the little, like look at it like a melting pot and all the little spices and flavors everybody's putting in, and it just kind of like creates a world of its own. And I think if I did in particular wrote with all of that in mind, it might kind of jade the way that it comes out on the back end and not be
Sure.
what I wanted or what I expected. So I try to really just let go and see what those guys add to the canvas and how it plays out. And it's usually, more often than not, way more badass than I ever thought it would be, and kind of takes on a mind of its own. So it's cool taking a small stripped down tune to the full band and just seeing what happens.
Right. Now, the way you sound and the band sounds, like it's very, familiar with what's kind of becoming more and more popular, right? Now, when you're growing up and coming into all of this, are you searching for certain sounds? Like what is the influence on the back end as you're growing up to be where you are now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, I've listened to all sorts of and grown up playing all sorts of different types of music. Grew up on a lot of classic rock and Dire Straits and Rolling Stones um, and the Eagles. My dad was a huge Eagles guy, and so like all of that, kind of like Southern rock, Marshall Tucker, kind of like harmony based, but kind of a little grittier songwriting, on that side of things, and then got more into the singer-songwriter Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark thing, and then obviously the bluegrass scene in Denver kind of exposed me to a lot of that. But I don't think we were looking to create this like ready to go, oh, these kinds of bands are doing well. I think it was just more the kind of the buddies of the instruments we had and the songs we've written, and the way it all just naturally came together. And it certainly, I'm grateful it did at this time. It seems like this kind of music is getting more attention than it has probably in the last few decades. But I think for all of us, it really just felt honest. And like, for instance, the band started years ago. It had a piano and a banjo were the two lead instruments. So it's just songs that kind of exist on we're not trying to make a certain like red dirt country sound or a folk rock or anything. It's kind of just what the song calls for, and that's kind of why we have the bigger band and the different instruments, is so we don't have to lean too heavily one direction and just kind of serve what we think the song's purpose is.
Now, once you start doing it and you guys start playing together and whatnot, like at what point do you say, either to yourself or, whatever, that, okay, we need to do more. We need to branch out. We need to hit other places. Like, does that come a little naturally? Does it come to you, or do you search for that?
I think there's a give and take there. I think the more you force it, probably the harder it gets, just because you're having to kind of put it together piece by piece and manage every component of it. For us, we really kind of took our time, and Denver's a great city for it, where, there's a venue for a 50-person show to a 50,000 person, you can play to 100 people, 200, 500, 1,000, and you can grow, kind of test out the market and see how people respond. And so I think we'd sold, some tickets at a 250 cap room, 450 a few times, and started getting just some interest from some different agencies. And that really opened, the playbook for us. I mean, I think we were always down, and this was always the dream. We just didn't know how. And I think that's probably an obstacle for a ton of bands, coming up that are our age, trying to make a career out of it. And we got really fortunate. Our agent's an old friend of mine and a dear friend of mine. And it's been a great relationship that's probably unique to a lot of people who work with agencies over the years. But once we had that in place, we could really start to, map out, where do we think people are listening? Where can we start to build this? Where can we, go from here? And it was a slow burn. I think we had great people in our corner saying, let's not do too much too fast. We want to do 40 shows, 60 shows, build it, start building markets out, have reasons to go out there. Instead of just going to random parts of the country and falling on our faces, we wanted to at least plan out where we'd fall the least on our face, So it's all been a slow burn of we come, to this circle, and next time build it out to here and build it out to here. And we really had great people in our corner pushing us to get out of our comfort zone a bit, because some cities you end up playing, end up being so much more fun than they'd ever look on a spreadsheet,
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And like, it's funny you say that, because that happens with this too, right? I talk to people all the time, right? And you get, somebody like you that wants to have a conversation, and then I'll get people that like don't, but still want to be on. It's like, well, like, how do you figure that out? Like, it doesn't make sense. You want to come on a podcast, but you don't want to have a conversation. But
that sounds like a lot of fun for you.
It is in a way, because it's like, if they don't want to talk, that's when I really push it. Like, and I'm like, what's your biggest childhood trauma? Fuck face. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, when it flows naturally, it makes it easier, because it makes it more enjoyable, right? And like, I'm sure it is playing on stage, when the crowd's into it, whether they know who you are or not, right? They don't have to sing every song, but if they're into it.
I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, you always love it when they do know the words. That tends to be my mother when she's at the shows. But no, I mean, you're totally right, and I think an engaged crowd is really all you can ask for. And I think the biggest role as an artist, though, on the other side of that is, I'll never forget some advice I got from my roommate years ago. He said, I was kind of just, not irritated, but just a little off put after show. I was like, man, people weren't that into that. Right. It was 4 or 5 years ago. And he was like, well, man, you didn't look like you were into it. And I was like, oh, no shit.
Yeah.
You get what you give. And like, from that point on, like, the job is, whether they're having fun or not, you're creating an atmosphere where that's what we're promoting. And that's what's going on here. Like, we're here to have a good time. We're all going to have our off nights. We're all going to have the best nights of our lives. And you never know where you're catching someone on the spectrum of their day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think like you said, like it's a transfer of energy. Like it's a relationship between you and the crowd. It's not the band and the crowd. They go hand in hand. And the best shows we've ever played sometimes are for 200 people, but God, all 200 of them wanted to be there, right there the entire time.
Right. And that's the best, and like we see it here. Like I've put out episodes where it's like, it does numbers that I never would have imagined, because it's like, nobody knows who this person is, or, there's no like following, or not a big following. Right. But like every now and again, like just the conversation alone keeps them in the episode. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I come into this clean slate every time. So like, I never know what's going to happen. Like, and I do that on purpose because, 5 years in now, every conversation doesn't need to be the same.
Well, right. And there's a lot you learn, in this industry, and what you're talking about too. And what you do is expectation can really set you up for failure.
Oh yeah.
Every experience, every show, every interview, everything you're doing is a different, you're dealing with different people on a different day. And and when you start putting expectation on it, that's when you start, not getting what you're wanting out of it, I think.
Right. And like, I don't know if it happens with you when you either open for somebody or somebody opens for you, or you go to a city and have an expectation, right? Like, I talk about it all the time. Like, we were very fortunate, like a year and change ago, to get Cody Jinks on the show. Right.
Oh, killer.
And yeah, right. And like me, like, I see this as just something I do, right? This isn't, there's no lavish production. There's no professionalism at all, which I'm sure sinks me in some spots, but like, that's okay too. But like, I had never been, and even since, have never been nervous to talk to somebody, but I was nervous to talk to him because it's like, it's Cody fucking Jinks. You know what I mean? And I got into that episode, and it was like talking to somebody I had known for years. So it's like, it has those moments, right? And I'm sure it's the same thing with you, where, wherever you go, you have, like we were talking about, you have almost a preconceived expectation, and then it either holds up or it doesn't hold water at all.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And especially, the old mantra, like, never meet your heroes.
Right.
I feel like, we've been really fortunate that like 90 to 99% of the people we've met that we look up to, admire, have paved a way for us to feel like we have an avenue, and that, have made us feel, even welcome, and that we belong. That's a big part of it, all of those folks are so humble and kind and easy to get along with, and willing to show you the little tricks to the trade and give you advice. And I don't know, it's so refreshing. And then it gives you just so much, hope for, the future of music. 'Cause it's a tough time to be a musician.
Yeah.
There's crazy stuff going on, all over the world, but, within the music industry, it's never been more difficult. And, it's just good that there's still a lot of great people out there looking after the future generation of artists, and really trying to take the time to let them know the right way to go about it. You only can do so much teaching them; they got to do it. But we've met a lot of great people who've taught us a lot of great lessons.
Now, where you guys are in your careers, right? When it does come to the business side of this, right? Because we always talk about it, and it probably pisses a lot of people off. And like I said, like I don't mind pissing people off, because it makes people go, oh, maybe there's something here. Like, if you're getting upset about something, you're onto something, is what I always say, right? But when it comes to this industry and the back end of it, and being a musician and wanting to put out your best work, do you find yourself, or even as a band, struggling to, do we want to work with the machine? Do we not want to work with the machine? Can we do it on our own? Can we not do it on our own? And like, those aren't negative questions. Those are just, what's best for you guys? Like, has that been a conversation, or has that been a struggle over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that, just because there's no one size fits all. It's every band has a unique situation where maybe they need support here and don't here, or need support everywhere, or need no support at all for any of those things, and the product, good for them, just sells. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be fucking awesome? You just sell, 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 sell,
Right,
and you
right,
don't have
right.
anybody involved, and all the money goes into your pocket. That's just not the way of the world and the way of the music industry. We, weighed a lot of things with our upcoming record. We signed with an independent label who we love the team there. It's a great amount of people. It doesn't feel too big, but it also doesn't feel too small. Where like they have enough bandwidth to take care of us and the other bands that they support and believe in. And I think where we are right now, though, it's just, the business is growing at a rate that we can't sustain, the six of us, while being on the road so much and trying to make the main thing and keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
So we've added, a lot of different components and elements to help take care of all that. And it's, like 4 years ago, if you told me that's where we'd been, I'd been like, what are we doing? But now I totally understand that it's essential to keep the business operating and running. And it was all fun and games and playing guitars and staying up and having a good time. And now, we're fully running a business, and it's been an awesome experience. We work with, like, top to bottom, I really do mean it, amazing people on the business management side, on the booking, the management side. But I mean, without those guys guiding kind of, and just helping us make informed decisions, not making decisions for us. We've just been lucky to be surrounded with good folks who've made that part of navigating the business a little bit easier.
Yeah. Now, at what point for you guys were you able to make this what you do? Like, make this a business? Like, was there like a moment in time, or was it like a collection?
I mean, it was, first of all, a 9-to-5 employer is only going to put up so much PTO, right?
Right, right.
A few years ago, but I think the big inflection point was our agent told me a few years ago, and like I mentioned, he's a really close confidant of mine, and he said, so many people do this and never have a chance with both feet in. I don't know why the hell you think you guys would make it with 1.5.
Right.
And it was like such a slap in the face reality. Like, first of all, not that we were trying to do that. We didn't know where we wanted to go career-wise was the big place.
Right.
Was this going to be something that we do 6 times a year and it's awesome around Denver? Or was it going to be, let's go. This is our career. And it was kind of an inflection point where we all kind of looked at each other and we were like, what else are we going to do? This is all we want to do, all we know how to do. We complain constantly about what's keeping us away from doing this full time, so it was just one of those things where it was time to bet on ourselves. And if we didn't, I think we were all going to wake up in 10 years and just, never forgive ourselves.
Now with that, right? I've seen, I'm awful at this, and I tell everybody, I don't do my research about you before you get here, and I do that on purpose so that this is,
love that.
So it's not like okay, so what have you done? And then I'm like, I fucking know this story. You know what I mean?
No, I love this.
But like I have seen some things, right? And I've seen you open for some people, right? How much, as a band, because I've never asked this, and now that I'm saying it, it's really dawned on me. How much of that actually does help a band like yours when you're either one, starting out, or two, really getting that momentum? Like, does it help? Does it make a significant difference?
I think two sides to that. One, I think it gives a band confidence that they are in, a place they haven't been before, and that a band that they look up to, or a band that they have a lot of respect for and have been even going to see for years. We've gotten open for bands that I've been just spending money to go see for years, which my parents always crack up about. But I think it gives you the confidence that, first of all, like, okay, like, I understand how this works on a bigger scale. I understand how the operation works. It's just music on a bigger scale.
Sure.
There's just a little bit more going on, a little bit more organization. And when I say a little, I mean a lot.
Right.
And then also the other component, I think, is when you get to open for those bands, just the people who they work with are present. You're getting your your band and your performance in front of a different audience that may not be at your local bar, that is going to now, be there checking out this band because they're on their label or agency or whatever the hell it may be. You're just getting in front of some different sets of eyes.
Right.
So I definitely think it's a necessary part of if you want to take a big step, taking those gigs can really help get a band just the exposure and just recognition to where some guy can even be like, where have I seen that name before? They opened for, like that little bit can make all the difference for the next time.
Yeah.
A guy's looking for an opener for his big band, and they're like, oh, well, that band did a pretty damn good job.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a call, So there's a lot of different ways it can, kind of spin off into some successful parts of a relationship.
Yeah. I remember before doing all of this, right? I used to never, unless it was like a GA, I wanted to be on the rail kind of show. Like I never would get there for an opening act ever. You know what I mean? Like I know the people I want to see are going on at 9. I can roll in at 8:45. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And since doing this, it's like the openers are where it's at a lot of the time. It's like it's where you discover either who's coming up or what you like or something different. I always tell people now, like, don't sleep on the openers. You never know what you're going to get, especially if you don't know who they are.
Yeah, and it's the way we look at it when we're opening, we've had the the pleasure of opening for some awesome bands, and the way you look at it is usually it's going to be a condensed set, like 45 minutes, 30, 45, because it's their show. So you're really like out there, like you got to go come out swinging,
Right.
Like you got 45 minutes to capture these people's attention while they're getting t-shirts, beer, settling into their seats, taking their selfies, telling everybody they made it to the concert.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to smack them in the face and be like, hey, we're playing right now. And those are huge opportunities to gain fans and to sell your own merch and to kind of, make relationships with people who wouldn't have seen you. So like, we take those gigs, we get super amped up. It's like, you got 45 minutes to bring it,
Yeah. Now, is there a little bit of pressure though to that too?
No, it's the best part's they don't know who you are anyways.
Right. You could really do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, half the people might have loved you and didn't even listen because they just never opened their ears for that 45
Right.
minutes.
This is the greatest band I've ever seen and didn't hear a single song.
Yeah, and sat in the beer line and talked to their business partner the whole time,
Right. Now when you are doing an opening slot on like a, on a bigger bill or, whether it's a weekend run or a couple of weeks, whatever, like I'm going to ask this with my own bias in it, right? Like I hate cover songs. I hate them. I hate when people that have good original music play covers. I get why you do it. I get why you have to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? But do you, as an original band, do you have that riff where it's like, if you're in an opening slot, you got to throw a cover in there just to get the crowd to be like, hey, I know that song, right?
I think something different about our band. Did I interrupt you?
No. Even if you did, I don't give a shit. Go. This is your time.
Something about our band that you, when you say you hate covers, what I love about covers for our band in particular is we're kind of this Venn diagram of like Southern rock, singer-songwriter, country, folk, bluegrass. And so every cover is very, very deliberate.
Sure.
Like it's to show you into an avenue of what we can do beyond this hodgepodge of what our music is. And so like there will be a country cover, kind of a bluegrassy cover, something a little more singer-songwritery. So it's all to kind of poke at these different edges of what we're capable of and kind of an homage to all the different influences. So it's not like it's a little deeper with, I think, why we play covers. But yeah, as an opener, I feel like you always want to throw one in for the audience. Like we want to make sure that, and you always want to do it right before your best song or your most popular or whatever.
Yeah.
So that they're all listening,
Yeah. Now, do you have a song that's like a go-to or a favorite that you would make, put out there as your cover, or does it change all the time?
We rotate a ton. I mean, I think that's the fun part about our band is we like to play a lot of different music. We cut a cover of some of our good buddies, a Minnesota band. They live up Montana now, The Last Rebel. Awesome band. If you're listening right now, go check them out. Badass band. They wrote a song called Engine Trouble, and we recorded a cover of it a few years ago. So that's kind of become our token cover, but we just play it a little bit different. They're an acoustic band. We have drums, so it's a little more rock and roll, but their version is much better than ours, trust me. But that's kind of our the song we played the most from a cover perspective. But we're kind of all over the place, man. I mean, we like having fun with covers and kind of taking old songs and making them new with new twist, or new songs kind of making them bluegrassy, just keeping it fresh.
Now, I know we don't have a ton of time, and I'm so bummed about it. And I get it. You got shit to do, probably way more important than this, but that's fine.
Oh, no, I'm having a great time.
I could continue this conversation all day, but I have a couple of things I want to hit on while I'm thinking about them. A couple of things. One, you mentioned about a new album coming out. When is that going to be released?
Yeah, we're getting close. Friday, February 13th. It'll be coming out here in just a couple weeks. Sin and Squalor is the name of that, our debut record. It'll finally be out into the universe. We can't wait for you guys to hear it.
I probably knew that. I'm sure it's in an email. Like I said, I'm awful at this shit. Like, I just all right.
No, that's my job to promote the record.
Right. But so, all right. So then in tandem, we'll put this out with the release of that album that week.
Awesome.
But that's good for me to know, so that I'm, I do all this shit so that I know to be like, all right, we're going to schedule this for then. And, so for that, right, before this, are these songs on this album fresh, brand new? Or are they or is it stuff that has been there that we're just finally putting together?
So it's our debut record. So some of these songs were written, 4 or 5 years ago. Some were written in the last 2 or 3, some in the last, 18 months since we cut it and mastered it. But they were all kind of written at different stages, kind of right when I got to Colorado, then kind of through a pretty brutal breakup. A few were written. And then when Scotty, our mandolin player, joined the band about 3 years ago, he and I really started, getting after it as far as writing. And I hadn't been through much of a co-writing experience. I'd sat around in a room and tried to write songs with guys, and I wasn't really hip to it. And then me and him just kind of clicked like that. And he's such the yin to my yang, and vice versa. We, kind of keep each other in check and push each other, and kind of ask the why we're writing it that way instead of just accepting that the lyrics are good enough. But so they were kind of written in a couple different phases, which I like because they were written in different little segments of life, but all through the same narrative and the same voice and the same kind of perspective of growing up. And I'm really proud that even though they were at different, parts of life, they kind of all feel like they blend together to kind of represent that era of my life and Scotty's life and the life, the place the band was at in that point in time.
So we have brutal breakup songs in this?
But no, they're not as brutal as you think, because my mom, she's the best and the worst, because I sent her all these terrible, shitty breakup songs. And she was like, these are awful. And then I finally sent her one, and she was like, yes, you finally wrote about how you feel and not just feeling like heartbroken. And it's that song on our record, Rollin', where it's more about a juxtaposition of, time moves on and seasons change, and you have to take care of yourself just like you have to take care of the land, whether you feel good or you don't. Time passes and time heals all, and you don't really get to control how things end all the time and how people feel and how they continue on with your lives, and you gotta keep going.
Damn, Sam. I, not to say too much so I don't get in any more legal trouble, but we could talk a whole hour and change about brutal breakups, but now I'm real excited for this. I'm sure I have it in my email somewhere. I'm sure they've sent it to me, but
check that email.
I'm gonna. This is why I need somebody to help me like manage all this, because it's like, I'm just like, yep. Like my whole day is just on 300 miles an hour. That fucking. But anyway, my point was, it's ADHD, man. It's brutal.
And you wear it well.
I wear it. That's for sure. Now with your sound and your band, and you guys have, I would put you up there sound wise, songwriting wise, because I have listened. I'm not just like, I don't even know what the fuck, I'm not that I'm not that out of it. But like, you guys are close up there with like the Zach Bryans, the Charles Wesley Godwins, the Tylers of the world, right? Like in that realm of like, sounds good, lyrically it's good. Like, I would put you up there with some of my absolute favorites that are out there, right?
Well, that's awfully flattering.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. I'm not that guy either. I'm a New Englander. We'll tell you.
That.
We'll tell
I
you.
believe that.
Do you worry? And this is where the hard hitting comes in. Do you worry that that sound is just gonna flash and go away because it's? I don't want to say because everybody's doing it, because not everybody's doing it, but because it's getting the momentum. You know what I mean?
I think that is probably something that record producers and labels and managers have been worried about for every genre ever.
That's fair.
When something's popular, they're like, is it sustainable?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, naturally, I don't think that this genre of music is going to be under this big of a microscope forever. It just cyclically wouldn't make any sense the way things have gone, and the history of music has presented itself. What I will say though is songs last, albums last, and what I take more pride in than anything about this band is we're a live band, and we're gonna keep bringing it to you and writing albums and releasing music and pouring our hearts out on stage every night. Whether the streaming platform has a moment or not, so be it. We'll still be out there playing it and living it and loving it. And I believe in that. And whether we make as much money as my mom wants me to, or we make enough to put my kids through college, I'll be fine either way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I think the microscope on the genre and the sound right now sucks, right? Because
it's a little intensive, just because it's creating a lot of, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, but it's creating a lot of flash in a pan artists that are trying to write a song, and it just, and again, I don't care what other people do. Play your music, live your life. I'm here to support, but I don't know. There's just something about the building a sound and touring it and not just having that flash in a pan moment that just feels so much more real and sustainable and something I want to latch on to as a fan,
Right.
That's just my little tangent. But.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I have never been silent about how I feel about certain things, right? Especially in this industry. Like I love guys like Tyler well enough, right? Like, and I say well enough where like I'm not sure that I would pay $80, $90 to go see him, right? I would pay that money to go see him in a theater of 500 people, but I don't know that I would see it on a major headlining amphitheater tour. You know what I mean? Because there's some bands and some artists that it's kind of like, I say this all the time, it's like stand-up comedy, right? You don't want to see a stand-up in an arena. You want to see him or her in a club of 150, 200 people. That's it. Right? And to me,
you want to be able to see them blink. You don't want to have to be able to look at a mega screen of them and see them blink,
Exactly. And I feel
like say once you can't see what the guitar player's doing with his right hand,
right,
you're too far.
Exactly. And there's some artists, I think there are some artists, regardless of how good they are and how much they can draw in an amphitheater, I want to see them small, intimate settings where it is more, one-on-one.
And that's the give and take. Trust me, they do too.
Right.
There's just, you only have so many years and so much financial certainty to where you have to, if this many tickets will be bought, that's the job. I just think
absolutely.
At that level of performance and that level of stage crew. And I mean, I can only imagine just the infrastructure in their business. We have 10, 12 people we work with, and I can only imagine the scale, with an operation like that. But, I couldn't agree more. I saw Tyler at the Ogden Theater back in 2018, a lovely, beautiful theater here in Denver, and saw him at Red Rocks. And I mean, both shows were unbelievable.
Sure.
But there's just a little bit more magic in the storytelling and the nuance of the theater show.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Like I can't tell you how many artists I've seen that, in those smaller places, and then see them on a stage in an arena, and it's like the songs still sound the same, but like there's that level of disconnect, like, and it sucks. Like, I get why you got to do it, right? And I'm sure if somebody came to you tomorrow and was like, Sam, we're going to do an arena tour for, the next 12 months, you're going to be like, I'm there. Write the check.
I'll take a deep breath and say, okay.
Right. But, it's one of those things where it's like, bands like yours, obviously, there is a level for somebody like me, there's a level of gatekeeping, right? Like, I want to see you get big, but I also want to be able to like touch it. And that sounds creepy as fuck. But what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, though, because like I've heard a lot of people say in the South where I grew up, like John Prine was their family's best kept secret, and like it almost felt like John Prine belonged to their family because everybody else didn't know about him, even though a million zillion people knew about him. It had that interpersonal touch where it felt like it was precious to you and your community and the people that you spend time with, and like I think that's the beauty and the counterbalance of what you're talking about is how do you keep that thing that's so charming and so personable and personal, but still make it on a big scale where you can share it with as many people as possible without making it like artificial and saturated. It's such a impossible balance, I'm sure.
Yeah. It really is. It really, really is. Well, I know. God damn, we got to do this again. We have to.
We really do.
We have to do this again at some point. Whenever you're free, we'll do like a part 2 because I feel like we just scratched the surface of all this. But the album's coming out. Well, the album will be out this week that this is released, not this week that we're talking. But man, like it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and like I said, I've listened to your stuff now for the last few weeks, and I wish I would have discovered you fucking years ago now at this point.
Well, man, it's such a pleasure to spend the last bit chatting with you. I've had such a good time chatting with you, and we appreciate y'all plugging the record, putting this out, and we'll definitely have to get part 2 lined up.
Yeah, absolutely. If we have an advanced copy somewhere, I'll look for it. We'll do a review and put it out the day that the album comes out, and if not, I'll just listen to it and put out a review anyway. So, all right. Yeah, man. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya. Well, there you have it, everyone. Clay Street Unit. What a great group, right? Like, their music's fantastic. Shooting the shit was fun. Like, it's just, I love this fucking job that I have. I don't make any money, but every conversation is like therapy. It's wonderful. It touches my soul. So a big thank you to them for coming on and shooting the shit. Remember, new album this Friday. Go pre-save it. There's like, I want to say 4 or 5 songs you can already get off of it on Spotify. I don't know about Apple Music. I don't use Apple Music. I'm a Spotify guy through and through. Shout out to Spotify. Anyway, so thank you for coming in and taking the time and watching and listening and all that, guys. Without you, we don't do this. Next week, we have the band of Heathens. And then the week after that, it's the first week of March already. Can you fucking believe that? The week after that? It's going to be somebody. I don't know. So sit back, relax. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next Monday. We hope you enjoy everything, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.